So I absolutely love this movie. I love the way it kind of plays with the question of what if, because I think a lot of us have kind of wondered that on our own. And I was wondering if that question is kind of what attracted you to the project.
I don't know if the question itself attracted me to the project. I think it was more so the comfort at the end of the film that I felt after I read the script, feeling like there's a million different paths that we have the opportunity to take, and there isn't one right or wrong path. And I found that inspiring, and that was a story that I wanted to tell, because I feel like sometimes in these multiverse, it's usually like a one's like kind of dystopian, one's bad, one's good. But I liked how in this story both lives were good and were satisfying and fulfilling and had love and friendship and family, and that was what was really special to me.
What ifs for me have always they do get my attention pretty like viscerally, just because I think I look back at my life and there's so many, like anybody's life, there's like clear forks on the road. And I think in this one, I love that it did play with it into like, no matter what happens, you're good. You'll be fine. And not fine, you'll be great. And I think that in of itself just like got my attention of like, oh, I guess if I wouldn't be where I'm at right now, and the other possibility that I think I'm like, I just got lucky. When I think of the other version, I'm like, who knows what luck would have been on the other road as well, and like what that would have been like. And so I think that drew me into it. And then obviously working with Lili and Winter were two big draws.
Thank you.
So as much as, the ending is great for both Natalie and Gabe, there is a moment where Natalie is kind of struggling to find her own voice. And Gabe, I think, does struggle with that too, even if it's not directly addressed. So have the two of you ever had that kind of moment where you felt like your voice was getting lost and kind of in the shuffle in everyone else's?
It actually inspired me to write and publish my poetry book, Swimming Lessons, because I felt at that point kind of creatively a bit stunted. Like I wasn't in a position where I wasn't really allowed to do what I wanted creatively. And to be honest, in the show that I was on, I just sort of was playing this character that I've been playing for a while, and I kind of just wanted to stretch my wings a little bit, but I couldn't go and film something else. I don't want to just drop an album and become a singer. So I was like, oh, what can I do? I can write a book. I can express this other side of myself. So that was sort of a avenue that I took to release some pent up feelings and emotions.
It's beautiful.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Although I will say I don't have regrets, but I do kind of regret publishing my poetry book.
Really?
Yeah, because I do feel that I published it before I was ready, before it was ready, before I was ready. And I feel that I'm a much better writer now, and I've written so much more and so much better than from when I published.
When's the new book dropping?
There isn't, no. I've thought about it, but I'm like, it's so intimidating. It's very intimidating. But well, that's a whole other. It's a whole other interview.
When's the album dropping?
The album, I'm like, I don't know.
You got pipes. I think it's sometimes very like in projects, it's gotten lost within like the shuffle of many people within it, but then it also sometimes gets lost within myself, and then sometimes I'm my own like more silencer, if you will, of like of stopping thoughts as they're coming, creative thoughts, and follow through of those. So I think that's kind of one that to comment on something outside of what Lili has talked about is where I've struggled in some ways of like, oh, you're an idiot, you can't do that, and so trying to like silence that voice to like make sure that I'm confident and grounded in the things that I'm able to do. That's kind of what I've been kind of working through now, and it's really exciting because I think once you take that one out, you then realize like, oh, in the space where other people are also trying to silence you, that's works even less, because if you're not going to listen to yourself, like there might be less effective.
All right, so to kind of wrap things up on a lighter note, what would you say is your favorite scene in this movie?
My favorite scene?
I think it was one that's like, finally, this is like, it's the biggest buildup of every single scene, like the tension and Gabe's stress of like what he really wanted and versus what was happening. To me, was like the moment that we had to throw down the scene, and then like at the end of it wasn't like
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think the ending of both relationships, like them coming back together, is really beautiful when it's Jake who's, left his job to get a ticket to her show, and she's like so surprised that he would do that for her, and then obviously when Gabe and Natalie have that moment on the bridge. I love that line when you say finally and you have like a little glisten in your eye. It's so great. It's like that is a perfect rom-com moment.